Navy Yard Chats.
Navy Yard Chats.
All right, well, welcome back, everyone. It's a great day to have a great day. We have a great group of people here today. Love the guest. Navy Yard Chats is cheers for good time, good conversations. Yeah. Hey. Started off. I want to go around the room and introduce everyone.
So what's good? I'm Raymond, from New York, Staten Island specifically. Been living in DC or PG County since like 2018. I'm a software engineer. That's pretty much what I do.
I'm Kelvin Isom. I work in law. I'm from Atlanta, from the South. So I always bring that Southern style, Southern swag.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been here for about 2.5 years now.
I'm Tanya. Let's see. I work for the government, more specifically at the White House. These are my neighbors, and I'm from Missouri.
Hey guys, I'm Nardia. I'm from Queens, New York. I've been in DC for about a year now. I'm a mental health therapist. I work for the government and also at a hospital.
My name is Rob. I'm one of Nardia's patients.
Confidentiality.
Yeah, that's part of why I'm a patient. I don't have no breaks. I'm here for the violence. I'm from everywhere I've been. And yeah, it's time to get this money and maybe our chats. Let's go. Let's chop it up.
Yeah, we're in the U.S., right? We're in America, and all the time you hear a lot of conversations about, are you black? Are you African American? How do you classify yourself? Are you ethnically from another country, Africa, Caribbean, Asia, or Pan-Asian, a country out that way? And we have so many different terminologies and categories for our community. We get a few people here to see how do they feel, or what do they use to label themselves, and do they feel like they are black or American, African American, et cetera, et cetera. Start off, me being from the South, right? And having history, Nigerian background on my father's side, I would say that I don't always, often off the top of my head say I'm African, because I have so much of an American culture, and I've been raised in America for so long that it just pours out of me. But I never am shunned away about my past, my history, or my heritage. And so when we had this conversation about, am I black? Or am I American at this point? I really feel black because it reaches a vast majority, and it also distinguishes, like, no matter where I'm from, I'm always that origin, So I'm pro-black.
I differ personally. So I come from a Caribbean background. Whole family's Jamaican. I was the first one to be born in America, actually, but I went to Jamaica every summer. I was preteens, and I go back now, not as often, but everything, my lifestyle, my values, my morals, the way I cook, the way I look, everything is Jamaican. So when someone asks me what I am, I usually get African now since I'm in DC. Everybody's like, are you African? But I'm Jamaican, and I'll tell people I'm Jamaican. Sometimes you might not hear that accent, depending if I'm upset.
Then it comes out.
It comes out, but I'm Jamaican. But being in America, for people of color, or even people from immigrants, or from people from different ethnicities, you have to just say you're black. That's the umbrella that you're automatically under in America. It doesn't matter if you're Guyanese, you're Jamaican, you're African. We're all considered black. So in a sense, we have to take that label, but doesn't mean that that's fully what or who I encompass.
We keep it all buck, because we patients, right? We ain't got no breaks. Now I'm gonna tell everybody what color you are, because your color is a label.
True.
Your color, you are whatever the police will call you if they chasing you. Period. Because the police ain't got time for the politics, your Jamaican, rum cake, your background, your Nigerian. They ain't got time for none of that. All they know is black man on foot, something. They just go black. They see and they call it. That's it. White man, white woman, 5'3", that's it. Straight to the bottom line. It's the label that people visually apply to you. Now, that is your racial label. It's not your culture and identity and all this other stuff, right? And for those who are Caribbean or from Africa or whatever, God bless you, you know that, but there's a lot of Black Americans who don't know. We don't know, so we can't claim something that we're not aware of because that information was taken from us, right? We weren't able to hold on to that. End of the day, I got the same heritage as everybody else. I'm just not aware of the fine details. I remember when I was a soldier and we invaded Haiti, and I was in Port-au-Prince the first day, and everybody kept looking at me. The reason I speak Creole now, because they kept looking at me. When they was walking past, looking at the soldiers, and everybody kept pointing at me going, Gade, li-mem, li-ICN, li-ICN. And I asked the guard, what are they saying? He said, they said you Haitian. I said, how did they think I'm Haitian? They said your cheekbones, your face. They said you look Haitian. And I sit there, a Black American, I'm like, how do I know I'm not Haitian? Maybe my people came through this island on the way to the mainland. I don't know. These could be my cousins and family, for all I know. So I fell in love with the culture, and I'm not a Haitian as I can define it, but I would say the one core thing I see myself as different, even from African, is I'm a son of Middle Passage.
Okay.
I'm a son of the Middle Passage. And I think that the sons and daughters of Middle Passage are unique in the globe, even in the African diaspora, because of what we went through and how we developed as a group.
Interesting enough, kind of like you, Calvin, my father's from Nigeria, so that's like my real like African side. If you ask my mother what she is, she'll be like, I'm Brooklyn, for the most part, for real. I would say I don't really have a problem with the label, more so just like what comes with the label, in a sense, you know? So it's not a problem for me saying like African American or Black or whatever like that. It's more so the troubles or the unfortunate things that come with being that per se. Kind of like what you said, if a cop sees you, like there's just a bunch of things that comes with that. So I would say I would have more issues with just like, you know, the territory that comes with it. But then there's also like the beautiful side of it, like our culture in America or just abroad in a sense. So, you know, I don't really focus too much on the label, just more so like, I guess in a sense, trying to change what the label means to other people, our counterparts, like abroad or just, you know, across the world, whatever the case may be. So
when I'm speaking of myself to someone else, I'll say I'm African American. But whenever I say it, I guess to myself, I just think I'm Black. I don't really put so much thought into that. I really don't. I just think I'm just a Black girl.
Okay.
But I will say African American when I'm referencing myself. It's just.
You feel like there's a major difference though in the term of African American versus Black, or would you like prefer one over the other?
Ooh. Black is just easier. It just is. Because like African American, I think it's just a little too broad.
Regions such as Caribbean or African, do you feel like the term Black encompasses all that, or does it like water it down to where you don't really see the depth of the different cultures and the beauty of it?
I personally feel like Black is I can visually see you Black, and I can't visually see you Caribbean or from Nigeria or from you know New Orleans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can look at you and see you Black. So to me, Black is the most all-encompassing label. Now, African American is a subset of Black. It's people, mostly sons and daughters of Middle Passage, who've been through the slavery and what have you, and were born and raised in America.
Okay.
Caribbean is a subset of Black. All of that is part of the African diaspora, or what we consider to be Black. So, but what I do see too is amongst Black people, we do the same things white people do to Black people, which is we will try to find ways of differentiating ourselves based on our culture, our heritage, whatever. Like, I'm from the Caribbean, so I'm better than you. I'm from Africa, so I'm better than you. I'm from America, so I'm better than African. Everybody finds ways to try to say, I'm a tribe within this tribe, and therefore I'm superior to other members of the same tribe, because we all Black. But then if something happened to a Black person, then we all try to form like Voltron, right? And come together. Oh, they did this to George Floyd. You see Caribbean people, this is bad, because they know, as much as they may look down or on African Americans, or African Americans may look down on Africans, when something happens to a person because they're black, we all suddenly realize that we all on the same team. You know, it's just like America. We all separated. We never become so close till 9/11 happened. Now we all American, right? Because pressure, when we put people in situations, we come together. So I don't really see quote unquote negatives of being what I am. I'm thankful for what I am. I don't want to be nothing else. I don't want to be a white man. I don't want to be, you know, none of that stuff. Although I do identify as gay white women who's attracted to who's a gay white woman who's attracted to who have jungle fever. And so I end up with black women anyway, but that's another topic. But my point is that, you know, there's nothing, I think maybe other groups within the diaspora of black people will see the cons of being African American, but as an African American, I'm proudly African American. See, no qualms, have no qualms with it.
Okay. And one more thing, because you are from the northern region of the U.S., right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're from the Midwest, you would say, majority of your upbringing. How would you compare like the differences in that? Like, do you feel like black people in that region from where you're from and black people from where your region, do they clash? Do they mesh? Like, what would you say the major differences are in such as like as far as culture or identity?
Yeah, I don't really feel like you can just take people from a region and act like they're a monolith. Because there's people from an area that you might like and people that you might not like in the same city. And I can find gangsters in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Like, the worst, the same, they'll relate to gangsters in, you know, parts of New York. You know what I mean? They move the same way. They came from the same thing. But, I mean, going to Howard University for me was awesome because we literally had black people from all 50 states and many countries. And 20% of the population at Howard was international, and half of them was Caribbean. So you talking about seeing a whole diaspora of black people on the planet in one place? Howard University was crazy in terms of being able to interact and see, and I had an appreciation for all the ladies, you know. The sisters from New York, you know, they came with the ruggeds, and the sisters from the South had that Southern thing going. They come with the ruggeds. It was a sexy rugged. It was a sexy rugged. It was like Timberland
with
boots.
the butters on.
The butter Timbs and the snatchback, and they had and then the Midwestern girls. I really like Midwestern girls. To me, they was wifey, and then the girls from wifey, you know, and then like the most cool, fun people to chop it up with was from the bayou, like New Orleans and what have you. I love them New Orleans girls with their swag. Ooh, bada no, baby, don't act a donkey. You know what I'm saying? They had their thing going, and then for real, West Coast, the Cali girls. I mean, it was a runway every day with the Cali girls. Like, they put it down daily. Like, I'm like, it's a Wednesday. Like, what is all this?
Oh, you need to say New York too, don't say.
New York is there, but I'm just telling you what I seen. So my point is that all these differences I don't see these as negatives. I seen different things to appreciate about different people from different regions, and I love all my black people.
Okay.
And them Caribbean girls, the shape on them Caribbean girls, oh Lord Jesus. That's why I took water aerobics for the Caribbean girls in the bikinis. That was crazy. So we can find, I'm just, you know, using that as an analogy, but we can find ways to have appreciation for the differences instead of using these as basis to separate ourselves. You know, look at the strengths, you know. That's how I look at it. I'm a glass half full type of person.
What I've noticed really recently, over the last couple of years, in regards to that divide that you were speaking about, I always said this. I think people of color, all of us, I think there's no, we're divided in numbers. There's a lot of internal racism going on, and I see our counterparts, Hispanics, Indians. I mean, we can name so many. Even our white counterparts, they are quick to join forces and do things together and fellowship together. Yeah. And like you said, until something bad happens or we have a leader that we can follow, we don't come together. And I see, since I've been in DC, even in the field that I work in, it's like the Black Americans against the Africans or the Black Americans against the Caribbeans. And I'm like, I've never seen this divide before because I'm coming from New York. It's a whole melting pot, especially Queens. You know, that's one of the most diverse cities in the country. And I mean, I knew people from everywhere. So me coming to places like this and seeing like there's a divide against people of color, I'm like, what's up with that? Even last year, I had a talk last year with this guy I was talking to for a quick minute, and he was saying, well, you immigrants get more than us. You guys come to this country and you get all the housing loans, you get this, that, and we get nothing. We're still dealing with the slavery. We're still dealing with the issues right now while you guys come here and take over. And I was like, did we not go through slavery too? So even that, like my mom is a maroon Jamaican. So if anybody knows about the Maroons, they're the ones, those are the Jamaicans that basically gained our independence in Jamaica, right? Okay. So that's the bloodline I come from. So it's very important to me, and it's something that, you know, I've been new since I was a child. So when someone's telling me like, you guys don't go through nothing, you guys didn't go through slavery, every country went through their own type of slavery and struggles. Some were just able to gain their independence faster than others, but we went through similar things. And so even in that respect, and he's not the only person, a lot of people I've seen said that, like even Juneteenth, like people ask me, do you celebrate Juneteenth? They ask my friends. Some people are like, no, I'm not celebrating because I'm not African American or I'm not Black. But I will celebrate a couple weeks ago when it was Jamaican independence, right? So it's like a toss-up.
Dude, you was talking to, he sound like a redneck talking about Mexicans.
I'm not talking to him now.
You come over here taking our job.
Yeah, that's
you
wild.
know, that's really crazy. But you know,
that's that crabs in a barrel mentality.
Basically.
Well, one of the most profound things that Jesse Jackson ever said, and he said some few profound things. Believe me.
Man, I love you. Even though you didn't go to Howard, even though you're Aggie, I'm gonna let that slide, Reverend. So, but one of the things that he said I think was potent and that stuck with me is he said if everybody was the same color, the same race, then we would put the brown eyes against the blue eyes. We would find
the differences.
something. We would put the tall people from the short people. Right. We would find some kind of way to differentiate ourselves from the other ones, so we can say, you know, we the right-handed versus the left-handed, the blue eye from the brown eye, the tall from the short. We would find something, and it's like something in our nature where, you know, I feel like people just want to lift themselves up in the process of putting other people down and saying, I'm part of this tribe and you're not. So I see that tribalism is really what it is. It's tribalism within the African diaspora, within Black people. We have to recognize, those of us who can recognize it, be smart enough to know, when I see an African person, that's my brother. If I see a Caribbean person, that's my sister. Like, I got mad love for them as humans and being part of the African diaspora, part of the Black race. And frankly, I have love in my heart for humanity, period. Right. You know, Hispanic, white, whatever. I'm not gonna just say because you are of a certain race or ethnic background, you know, I was, you know, I've been in prison, I've been to the Fox, I've been to war, and all this stuff goes away when bullets is flying and people is dying. And I've had white boys grab me and help me get out the water in the lake and stuff like that. Come on home, we gonna make, you know. I've had people of all different races and stuff step up for me and be there for me. Muslims, I'm a Christian, stand up for me. I've had, you know, Jewish people praying for me so I can go home and bury my mother from prison. Jewish people came to me. Native Americans came to me and said, we praying for you in the sweat lodge hall. They didn't have to do that. So what was that? That was our common humanity. So the same way, I feel like we understand those lessons within a more global sense, we should understand that within the African diaspora and realize that we really are, and particularly us, because we all, you can see who we are, that we should all be standing together. And I wouldn't mind a Caribbean wife, I'm just saying.
Two things really, up until this point, recently, until we got like the internet, that became what it is, the age of information really, like, I think it was just lack of understanding and lack of education in a sense. You know, like it's not like, you know, if you grew up in the 2000s or before, like you were learning about Africa, and what you was learning about Africa was just like it was impoverished, it was disease
Propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. So it was almost a place that you didn't want to be affiliated with in a sense. It was kind of like, I can remember at least in New York, like I was being called the African booty scratcher or different things like that. Now, mind you, my father is Nigerian, but I didn't grow up with my father, so I have like more of an American culture background. So I'm being called these names, not knowing why, like at like 8, 9 years old, whatever. So that's like also like a double mind fuck in a sense, whatever the case may be, you know. So that's the first point. The second point too, I was gonna say to your point as far as like what you said is we're always gonna find something to divide us in a sense. I think that's just like generally like human nature, which is why like I personally don't believe equality will ever exist, because you're always gonna find, like you said, something to say I'm better. As long as we have a hierarchy, like there's no such thing as equality, because there's always gonna be a better person or a better class in a sense, quote unquote. So I kind of live by like the rule of 3. Like there's always somebody worse, somebody the same, and somebody better.
So do you try to put yourself in the picture of the shoes of somebody that's equivalent to you, or do you try to aspire to be like somebody that you think is better than you?
I would say a combination of both. I don't try to look at it as like they're better. I just say like maybe they took a route that I'm not familiar with or I don't know of yet in a sense. So like I look at people's mistakes and then also their like accomplishments and stuff, and because you can't go on any journey without mistakes. You can't go on any journey without taking a wrong turn somewhere or whatever. So you have to embrace that and just like learn from it and, you know, just spot the context clues in a sense. You know?
When we talk about black inclusivity or African diaspora or Indian black, because, you know, people in India that are like darker than us, all over the world, what do you think that needs to be done in order to unite us all together so that we can move in one accord, so that there's not so much diversion and so much differentiation amongst the community of black people, even in the U.S. Like we got Indians, Africans, Asians, South Americans, Hispanics, right? People from Brazil, black, because you see them visibly, they're black, but Hispanic or Portuguese. Like, how do you think are the appropriate steps to mold us all together so that we can be a unit?
There needs to be a common goal.
Yeah.
I feel like even if, take a small example of like, in this country alone, right? Like, for the most part, everybody that was a person of color was enslaved at one point, right? So the common goal was freedom. It was like, okay, I may not like you from 2 houses down or whatever like that, or 2 plantations down, but you know, we both going through the same thing, so we both need to be free. I think like you have some black people today saying like, oh, like slavery wasn't really this, like so many varying opinions now to where there's really no common goal. So I think that's the first step in like what's the common goal of like the diaspora, like of all black people, like what do you want collectively in a sense. So I would say that's my opinion. We need a common goal.
And it's sad, I don't want to say this, but I feel like I have to say it. I think we need some type of leader.
We need a leader.
No, seriously, it's unfortunate I have to say this, but it seems like in regards to, especially like I said before, especially people of color, like there has to be someone, right? Someone.
But we destroy our leaders.
Do we or do they?
Either way. I mean, I think it's worse now today with social media because now you have like the cancel campaign. So who can ever arise to become a leader? A leader makes mistakes.
That's true.
We're in an age of where you can't make a mistake. So how could you ever become a leader?
I think we also need to be on a common ground. I don't know how that's going to be, especially seeing that people come from all walks of life and they have different lived experiences. Because even with me, I'm from New York, but you know I'm not from Brooklyn, so my experience is different than yours, right?
Yeah. So you're Brooklyn and you are
Queens.
Okay.
It's completely different.
Totally different. So like even like
Well, with Staten Island and Queens, it's like kind of the same.
Can you just tell me, are the black people that are in New York, are they different than the black people that are here in DC?
Yes.
And if so, tell me why. Because I just want to know.
You want to
It's
answer
research.
first? Yeah. You go first.
I consider this to be the South personally, but I know.
What? I consider this to be the North, yo.
So I know like the
this
real.
is the North. This is definitely the North.
So I know like the real.
If you go to the South,
people,
it's not like this.
The real Southern people, like they consider this the North, but to us, I would say like anything past
South
Philly
is
kind of like the country to us.
What? So we're country to you?
Think of
I don't
like
consider
Delaware.
Maybe farther. I don't know.
like when I first.
I
like,
live in Atlanta for like 5 years too.
All right,
so
so-
I'm
Yeah,
like,
so
Yeah. But like, at least to me, when I first visited my friends at like Delaware State, I was like, oh, like farms and shit like that. I've never seen farms, whatever since. But I would say, yeah, it's definitely different. Like people here say, like, I mean, the first thing is like good morning. Like we don't do that.
yeah, up north y'all
In
rude
New
and
York?
We
cold.
don't say good.
that's a lie.
Y'all
Who says
cold.
good morning?
I'm gonna
Y'all
wait
don't
till
even
you
speak
finish.
to
Who
people.
says good
All right, go
I'm
ahead,
gonna wait
finish.
till
I
you
gotta hear
finish.
this.
I don't know. Maybe now, but like
What?
traditionally, no. In Queens, maybe, but not in like Brooklyn, Staten Island. Like I don't remember walking past people like, "Hey, good morning." Like out here,
There wasn't
it's so
even
friendly.
if you said something. I feel like in New York, and I'm an outsider, right? When I visit New York, it's so cold. It seems like everybody like about business, and if it's not any personal gain, they don't want any parts of it.
It's so funny. So many people think like that, and it's not. So like I said, I was in
it
5
just varies. Like, yeah, I would just say like it depends on which borough you in. That also
What
really
is
depends.
what are boroughs anyway?
It's like the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Oh, neighborhoods.
Like Staten Island and
Oh.
Queens, like our two boroughs that are more like residential. So it's like residential city. So
Uh-huh.
like we'll have houses, backyards, and everything like that. Not like Brooklyn or Manhattan or the Bronx where it's mostly buildings and it's clustered in a sense. So that kind of makes it a bit of a different experience too. And then like the Bronx, for example, is just just go.
No, I'm not gonna play with you.
Come on.
The Bronx has changed.
Okay.
Anybody that's from the
What you
Bronx,
got?
do not
Nah,
blame him.
nah.
Okay. Like,
I fuck with the Bronx.
I think it's different, totally different. So it's so funny, and I get that a lot. Like, I've lived in a couple of states, and people always say like, "You're a New Yorker. I didn't think you were gonna be so nice." We are definitely nice people. I think we're very caring and attentive, but we're just always on the go. So it looks like we're upset, and we're just always on the go. But I swear, when I was in college, I had so many people, and I went to school in Texas. I went to HBCU in Texas. So many people were like, I want to go to New York. I want to go to New York. I'm like, go. I know so many people that moved to New York with nothing, and New Yorkers would just help them out. And every person I said go, that's what happened. Like, someone found them and was like, I'll help you, I'll help you. I think we are the nicest. New Yorkers are the nicest people, and but we just on the go. Since I've been here, I feel like the vibe is different. Like, in New York, I can say, you look beautiful, like, queen. If I say that here, or nothing, it's just different. The energy's different. Like, we'd be like, you look good. Sis, you look good. Here, I don't get none of that. I don't see no one doing that. There's no, like,
This is true.
yeah, it's just very hard. And I'm just like, and even being a transplant, like, even making friends and relationships are hard. I have to join groups, like maybe, but like, I've been forcing myself to join groups and go out. And I'm a very outgoing person. I'm very social, just to try to get into some type of, like, community, because it's just tough. Everybody's just like,
So focused on like
yeah,
that
that is
true. This is
hard as hell.
This is
So
true.
I think the people in New York, I feel like you're gonna have a great time. They're gonna be loving. They're gonna be fun. People gonna be dancing. They getting light in the streets. It's the summertime still. It's lit. New York is
A
lit.
spot to
And
go
it's-
to then.
it's
The
like
whole
the
New York
sun.
is lit. You can just go anywhere.
It's
It's
like
just lit.
so many pockets too. Like New York got a flavor for everybody.
Everything.
Like,
You want a little spin.
I think it's crazy to even consider the possibility that black people in New York are the same as DC. Because black people in DC aren't even the same as black people in PG County, right?
no, yeah.
You know, and PG County, and black people in PG County are a far cry from black people in Baltimore, right? So you understand the import and the power of local culture in terms of how you think, how you move, how you live, your mores, your norms, your communication patterns, you know, your relationship patterns. All these things are driven more by the local community than the fact that your skin is melanated, right? So, you know, and then people from New York do the same thing. Like, people from upstate New York would say stuff about people from the city and vice versa.
That's a
Because
fact.
I went
Right.
to school in upstate, and that's a different
Really?
A
world.
whole
Yeah.
different world.
I went to Cortland first, and then I went to Oswego, and then
Yeah.
Buffalo.
That's my way. I
know
grew up
you
in
went to
Utica.
Buffalo, I can tell.
Yeah, I grew up in Utica.
Oh,
So,
Utica?
I'm from
Okay.
Utica. So yeah, so it's I mean, the idea that we will all somehow be some type of monolith is crazy to me. We're not. We're not going to be, and that's okay. I don't want to be. I actually think, again, we should appreciate all of these differences that we have and learn to, you know, build on them as strengths. You know, pick up whatever you're gonna pick up from wherever you at. You know, but you know, I don't see why we want to be all the same. I think that would be boring. Like, of all black people in the whole America, like, you would take away so much flavor that we have.
I will say this though. One thing I like about DC, not related to necessarily the people, but well, I guess related to the people. But what I like is that we have like affluent black communities. Like if you drive through Bowie and seeing all these mansions and stuff, and it's all black people in them,
Yeah.
you know, and like I can't say, at least not knowingly, maybe you know, but like there's really no affluent black communities in New York per se. Like,
PG County,
you may have like black affluent people living in an affluent community, but not like an entire
whole community.
You know
yeah,
what I'm
PG
saying?
County
Like,
is the wealthiest black
highest per
county
capita.
Sure is,
in
sure is.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Sure is.
America.
Period.
Yeah.
Point dot. There's more black millionaires in PG County than any other county in America. And DC is a workaholic town.
Yeah.
Sure is. Yeah.
And that's part of why you feel kind of that, like, there's not, I feel like sometimes the community of upward mobile workaholics don't get to interact as much. And that's why I appreciate things like Navy Black, because it kind of opened up the door for that.
Right.
Because probably if it wasn't for Navy Black, we would walk right past each other in the
No,
same building all the
That's
time.
a
And not
fact.
even
It's a fact.
communicate, chop, because we're all like focused on go, money, work, career, make money. And because that's the culture of the DMV for black people. You know, this Gold Coast money in DC, old black money in DC, and then you got all that PG County rocking. You know, it's what it, and you'll never see nothing
Even
like
down
it.
to the police too, like highest amount of like black cops in the country. Funny
Bro,
enough.
have you
So,
been to
like,
PG County Court? The county executive is black.
Yeah, like
The judges
the
are
county
black.
is
The sheriff is black. You gonna get locked up by a black person. Go before a black judge. The whole
Everything is
power,
black.
seat of power
so like
is black, which is like it's like a dystopian. It's
Right.
another reality. It's
Is
like,
that odd for you guys though, seeing that?
It is odd for me personally.
it's
'Cause I didn't grow up seeing that until I moved here. I didn't see, like, even like in the courtroom, like it's always, it's different though, because federal is definitely different from like city council. Council is
Sure
black,
is.
but federal ain't black.
Sure
So
is.
don't let it
Not
confuse
at all,
you,
not at all.
because you ain't gonna see but like two people. But
Right.
I love the fact that DC it's black people there that work there in these spaces and positions, because before, like even when I went to law school at WPI, right? So it was like 5 of us, or 5 of us in my class, 12 of us the whole school, and I didn't see any black people, and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I changed what I wanted to do, because I was like, I gotta really like be a zealous advocate for my people, because we don't have any representation. And even when you get into the field, you still realize like you have this small percentage, but like 60% of those people have, I ain't gonna say sold out, but they're like, I gotta think about myself and my family. So you know what that means. And it's like, dang. So are you gonna be passionate about making an impact and changing the future, or are you gonna be selfish and make an impact for your immediate family and your future earnings and wealth? And so that's the decision that we have to make right now.
Why can't we do both?
That's what I said. Both can be true.
You're right. It could be true, right? However, because even though they say it's a non-biased system, it's very biased, right? Even in the government, right? You can work for an agency and it's supposed to be bipartisan, but whoever the commissioner is of that agency, that's where they want to see the policy is written in that direction. And so if you're not working in that direction, you're opposing that, and then that's your position in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. So and one of the things you touched on, I think, is like racism within the black community.
Yeah.
You know, I when we saw, you know, I happened to, when I went to Howard, back to that, I went to school with one of my classmates was Chad Boseman.
Okay.
So it was like crazy, because you walk around 4 years with this man not knowing he's gonna change the world, right? And rest in peace, Chad. But when we come up with this concept of Wakanda, right, becomes a thing in our minds.
Yeah.
I said the closest thing I've ever seen